So yeah, much better than the Tales of the Empire one. I would definitely say it's worth a watch. Does make me wish we got more Cad Bane though. I fucking love Cad Bane. He's such a cool character. I think there's only one other concept I can think of right now that would probably top it, and it would be another Sam Says, and it gets fucking wild.
The
But
Sam Says 4 that ends in like domestic terrorism might be the only way they kind of up anything else. Yeah, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to recommending going to see a live action remake. But yeah, overall, it might be the only good remake of an animated film that we ever get. There is a chance in a 2-week period I am floating on a cloud as we go from Superman to Fantastic Four if both these films hit as hard as I hope they hit.
yeah, there is a very high chance.
There might have been never a more apt time for the phrase "we have never been more back." Hello and welcome back to Cutscene Convos. This is episode 164, and this week we have much to discuss. We'll be discussing the things we've watched this week, which include such greatness as Game Changer and the new How to Train Your Dragon. We have a character profile on Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal. We are going to be discussing what the next 6 weeks of cinema goodness have in store. And as always, we have the No News Network. But before that lovely stuff, Horizontal, how has your week been?
My week's been pretty good. Work's kind of just a bit wild at the moment. It was weird. It was crazy busy, and then also now I've been given the reins of like my first proper big design project, which
You've been in long enough now where it's like, okay, just do the thing.
It's more the main design person is away for like 2 weeks, and then there's a thing that like a big project that's been struggling with that, like people can't make decisions. It's got to a point where it's like, oh shit, this is being brought forward again, so we need to get on with it. So it's landed in my lap, and I'm like, oh, so like,
fresh pair of eyes.
Yeah, so ball's been handed to me, and I've kind of got to run with it, hopefully. But yeah, that's kind of taken up most of my time. And then other than that, pretty chill. It's obviously been a lot warmer again. We're starting to have another heat wave in the UK, which is wild to say.
Yeah,
I'm wild to say
not looking
another
forward to it
already. And then other than that, just watching lots of different things. How's your week been?
How's my week been? My week's not been too bad. Obviously, it was Father's Day at the weekend just gone.
It was, yeah.
So went out and saw the father on Sunday. Went out for dinner, which was lovely.
Nice.
But yeah, it's weird. I'm in the exact kind of inverse of you. It's not that work isn't busy, but it's just gearing up to be busy in the next few weeks. So it's that kind of mental preparation and doing the things that you know are going to make your life easier in a few weeks. It's kind of the stage I'm at. And then, obviously on the content side over here, last week was insane with Summer Games Fest and everything.
Yeah.
And we know the next few weeks are going to be fucking nuts with The Bear and Ironheart and Fantastic Four and Superman. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I feel like on all phases, I'm just like mentally preparing myself for a crazy busy July. Yeah, July obviously being anniversary month as well.
Yeah.
So it's chaos. It's always chaos this time of year. I love it. And once I'm like going to the cinema, like I was discussing it with Jenna, and we've with the Cineworld Unlimited card, you get you can book 5 showings and like have them queued at any one time, but it won't let you book more than that, which is fair enough. And I'm sat here right now. We've got all 5 of our current available bookings booked in, and there are no less than 3 more films I actively could book for right now that I want to book for, but I can't because I don't have the space. It's ridiculous. But other than that, it's not too bad. I'm playing a fair bit of games. I'm kind of stuck. I want to play some games that I downloaded. I downloaded the new survival game Alters, which looks very interesting. And it's just that moment where you're like, okay, this is a new game that I know it's going to take some like mental to like get used to it and understand what I'm doing.
Mhm.
And my brain's just like, no, just play a thing you don't have to think about. You don't want to have to think right now. I'm like, no, but that looks good. It's like, no, but no thinking. So that's fun. But other than that, big chilling. Not too bad at all. Just kind of existing in this heat. This country's just not built for the weather. This is the problem. There was I saw a TikTok of an American who's been living over here for like 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
And he's like, this is the first proper time the heat's got up. And he's like, and now I kind of understand what the Brits been saying for all these years. Because yeah, it's not that hot. I felt hotter weather than this, but it hits you different over here. The country isn't built for it.
No.
And as a result, it makes it so much worse. Rip anyone getting on the Northern Line tomorrow morning when it's going to be 22 degrees or whatever in a full suit. Like, dreadful.
The jarring thing for me is like the office this week. My office is like cool. Like I had like a sweatshirt on over like just to pull over.
Insanity.
Like, because it's like the office is fine. Like it's like a without it on, I'd be fine in a t-shirt, but like it can sometimes. I've been there and it's like fucking it's actually cold. But it's like I walked outside and I was like, okay, this is immediately coming off. Got to the car and I was like, oh no.
Getting into your car is so bad. Because the thermometer in my car is obviously like not set up for the true outside. It's set up partially inside the car as most ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd turn it on after getting in, and like my watch has like 26 degrees. I'm like, okay, cool, it's quite. Get in my car and turn my ignition on, and the temperature comes up 34 degrees. I'm like, Christ alive. And this is your yearly reminder: do not leave your pets or young children in a car, for the love of God.
No. Anyway, shall we get into what we've watched?
Yes. So it was in the grand scheme of the world, especially since we've kind of changed how we're doing this part, this is a very quiet week. We've got an episode of Game Changer, and I went to see the How to Train Your Dragon remake. So let's get started with Game Changer.
Sure.
Awesome.
Oh, go on.
I'm not being negative.
Oh.
It felt weird to be on the like actual Game Changer set this week.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
There was times where I kind of looked at the screen and I thought I was watching an old episode.
I get what you mean. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, great fucking episode. It's definitely the weakest of the season so far.
Yes.
But it's still a really good episode.
Oh yeah, it's what I would have been like previous seasons. I've been like, oh, this was a good episode, but like they've smashed it so far this season. It's just like, well, it was inevitable that one episode was not gonna top them again. Like I think there's only one other concept I can think of right now that would probably top it, and it would be another Sam Says, and it gets fucking wild. But
the Sam Says 4 that ends in like domestic terrorism might be the only way they kind of up anything else.
But yeah, being back on the normal sized set, because obviously the comedy episode was on that set, but it was like zoomed out further back. It was definitely a little bit weird. I loved how it was like almost felt like there was no gimmick. And it was just a bit like, you're going to get to pick the challenge you do. And I was like, okay, so probably some of these are just going to get really wacky or hard. And then it's like, hang on, before you begin. And then it's the whole, you've got one shot.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed that they came out every single time. Yeah. I enjoyed that all the contestants fully bought into the bit and started dancing along. It was great.
It was great. I loved that there was the fingerboard one eventually near the end, and someone was like, I'm so glad someone picked this and we got to use this in the actual episode. I would have been so sad.
So, as best I can describe it, is a good enough episode that I would probably use this episode to sell someone on the idea of Game Changer. And then once they committed to, oh, okay, cool, this is kind of fun, I would then give them one of the fucking insane episodes so they see how far they push this idea of the Game Changers every episode.
Oh, there was one crazy thing this episode we've said for ages, this has a very much a Taskmaster feel.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
And oh my god, his name's slipping from my
On.
yeah, they had him on as like a guest, like
Really, really
little
cool.
question asker, which was really cool to see that crossover happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen that relationship budding for a while, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, they were like, no one does anything like this. And I still maintain people who, after like the first episode, was like, no one's ever done anything, a show like this. Everyone who jumped in was like, oh, Taskmaster. But Taskmaster's concept stays the same. They just do different challenges. Like,
Yeah.
when you sign up to Taskmaster as a British comedian, you know you're signing up for going to a house and you're going to do a challenge against a bunch of other comedians, and then Greg Davies is going to screw you over somehow. Like,
Yeah.
you know what's going to happen. So I understand why people thought it was similar, but I do think it's still different enough that it shouldn't have drawn that comparison. I'm glad it did, though, because finding out that Alex Horne was aware of what they were doing over at Game Changer and Dropout is very good, because it means they are making noise in the right areas.
Yes.
I also think it helps Taskmaster, because it shows them they don't have like a monopoly over this kind of gaming with comedians, and it gets a bit weird because competition does breed success on both sides, and it edges me further closer to what I've believed since watching like clips of Brennan before I bought Dropout, that I need Brennan on Taskmaster.
That would be wild.
Fucking 10 episodes or whatever Taskmaster seasons are these days of Brennan, the American, and he needs to be the only American on that season. Just losing his mind as Greg, the most British man you've ever met, fucks with him in unforeseeable ways while he's seething. Would be phenomenal.
It would be quite funny to watch.
But yeah, the culmination of kind of these, like, we're aware of each other, bouncing backwards and forwards, finally coming in Alex delivering a question for them is
well, it adds
superb.
to like Make Some Noise had, I forget his name, but the one who used to be on Whose Line Is It Anyway, that improv show that's like loosely, he came on Make Some Noise and it was like, oh, this feels like a show that I've been on before. And I love these like worlds where the actual TV, like traditional TV show, is blending and there's the crossover, like meta crossovers.
Yeah. And I've got to be honest, like maybe this is us as like viewers who love Dropout and believe in Dropout's mission are being biased here. But it genuinely feels like in the last kind of 2 seasons of each of like the big shows, they've kind of broken that barrier from the college humor clique and like local up and comers in LA to legitimate TV stars and people who work regularly in the mainstream industry going, yeah, fuck it. This sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Let's
definitely,
go do it.
You can tell
I mean, they're the fucking voice actor for Sonic on the last season of Make Some Noise, didn't they?
Like, you can tell that their network of like connections has definitely spread a lot more in the last couple of years, allowing them to have these like be a credible place where these other more A-list people are like, oh yeah, I know about that place, like Dropout.
And I think it's kind of, although it doesn't exist in the real world, but I think it's kind of like a perpetual motion machine, right? Because they started off with Dropout and they had fans and they committed.
Yeah.
And that worked. They made good shows with the cast they already had and the people they trusted. As a result of that, the people they trusted got more exposure.
Yeah.
They got a bigger social media following. And as streaming was driving, these people got work in other places, which opened that person's network up. And then they would bring the second tier of people in to come do crossovers, which is kind of what you see in like seasons 3 and 4 of most of these shows.
Yeah.
You see not the regular cast every week. And then that's opened it up again. And then all of a sudden, after 6, 7 seasons of each show, what you see is it's been around long enough now, and the people who've come on it have seen such a benefit from it that they've got better work, which has exposed them to a more famous caliber of comedian,
Mm-hmm.
actor, whatever, and then that has fed itself back in. All the meanwhile, Dropout has also been making a bigger name for itself in the streaming space. So
Yeah.
any actor who takes their career seriously is monitoring them as a platform,
Mm-hmm.
then sees the opportunity. And then when you add that in with the fact of they don't have a board, they don't have shareholders, they have a
They pay for
CEO
auditions.
and owner whose father was like the union director of America, for fuck's sake. Like, they know they're not going to get screwed over.
Yeah.
And like you say, they pay for auditions, they pay above market rate for
Yeah.
people coming on to do their
Which,
shows.
that word will travel quick.
Yeah. And also, they don't pay over market rate because they're just trying to spend money and go bust in 2 years. They're doing it while recording profits. Like,
Yeah.
there is a
No, like,
level of care here, and this people have like, and I'm gonna get political with it. People have said that socialism can't work for this, that, and the other because people won't want to work. Blah 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 blah.
mm-hmm.
Dropout is literally living proof that not just giving people the bare minimum they need to survive will allow everyone to thrive together.
Well, yeah, it shows that putting money back into it helps everything grow and better everybody.
Exactly. Sam goes, right, everyone's going to get paid fairly. I'm going to be willing to go broke with all of you on this as the owner and CEO. And then that feeds back into itself, and that makes them more money, and then that grows and it grows and it grows and it spirals, right?
Yeah.
What do you reckon the turnover rate for fucking runners and production assistants and camera people are at Dropout? Like, the people, like, do you reckon if they put an advert out for a camera operator, within 6 months they'd need to be replacing them? No, not a fucking chance.
Well, you can tell from like the behind the scenes this season versus last season, there is new crew and stuff that are like appearing in those. I'm like, you can tell that their whole team has grown, and the OGs are still there behind the scenes.
And on them rare occasions where like they have a bigger shoot and they don't, and they need more than their always on contracted staff, do you think they struggle to find extra camera and extra boom operators? Or do you think the boom operators of LA have a fucking keyword search for Dropout just in case they go, oh, we need an extra boom operator this Friday? And they're like, yes, please, me.
It's probably more a case of like those extra production staff are like, no, I've booked something else that weekend. Damn it, I can't work. I'm like, they're going to be annoyed if they can't be free.
It's become a common kind of unofficial catchphrase here for us on the podcast, but let talented people make things. And that is Dropout. Like, if they wanted to just use that as their slogan, I wouldn't even like be like, well, they stole that from us, because that is their philosophy and how they do everything.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, here is talented people. We're going to point a camera at them and give them a kind of guideline that other talented people have put together, and just watch how it all unfolds perfectly. Because even this, which is compared to the other concepts this season, the weakest concept, is 40 minutes of compelling television that is funny and interesting.
Oh, yeah. The only negative to Game Changer is because of how wacky and how out there some of the episodes are that need a lot of planning, you can't do like 24 episodes in a season. Like, you can't do traditional TV like game shows like this where they just pump them because they just don't have the means to keep up with that. That's the only downside.
But on the flip side of that, they do give us weekly release, I'll call them, because we get the behind the scenes stuff, to make sure that it lasts an amount of time, so you don't binge it all in 5 hours and then forget about it. Because, like, I know we've discussed this before, but all this week we're going to open TikTok and we're going to see clips from this episode of Game Changer, like we have for the last 2 weeks, seen the previous episode and stuff like that, because it goes fucking viral, the funny moments, and they just live there. And because it's 2 weeks until the next episode, people don't move on from it for them 2 weeks.
No.
And then the new episode comes out and it replaces it, which takes Game Changer, which we think is going to be 9 actual episodes, obviously with 9 BTSs in between. But that's going to give us 2.25 months of Game Changer being out there.
Yep.
Whereas, what? Fucking The Last of Us. What? The Last of Us finished 2 weeks ago. Have you thought about it once since it finished?
Only that I don't have a show I'm watching with my sister.
Yeah. But do you know what I mean?
But yeah, I know.
Like,
Yeah, no, I do know what you
insane.
mean. Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. I love Game Changers so much. Sam Reich and everyone else involved in that are just they're masters of their craft. And it's not even a case of, oh my god, give them the awards, give them like a contract for network TV. I want the mainstream TV industry to leave them the fuck alone because they know what they're doing. I don't want anyone from like mainstream TV seeing what they're doing and trying to get a job over there as a producer and fuck with it.
No, the bigger worry or the bigger chance of something happening is like a major network trying to copy it. And obviously,
Yeah.
it won't have the same effect because people will know that's just a rip off. But
It's kind of really difficult to like copyright the IP of Game Changer, isn't
well,
it?
yeah, you can't. Other than you could maybe the premise that every episode's premise it changes, but then you can't copyright what the premises are.
Yeah, and like I feel like you very quickly left in the muddy waters of the only thing they can't say is they've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
And
call it Game Changers.
the show the game changes every show.
Yeah.
Is probably the only thing they wouldn't be able to say anyway. But yeah, great episode.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be something I remember as fondly as some of the other episodes? Absolutely not. Is it still, for a filler episode?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Better than most TV shows' finale? Yes.
Yeah. I'm just intrigued to see what these last 3 episodes are like. Hopefully a Sam Says. I'd love another Sam Says. Because I do think I'd love if, similar to the 1 year later thing, but like they recorded a full episode, the contestants got sent home, and then they come back, and it opens with Sam going, as you can see all your points there on the board. Unfortunately, those are getting wiped because I never said Sam Says. And it's just like completely just destroys the morale.
I would really like, I don't even know if this is possible. It's definitely possible, but like, I don't know how easily possible it is. I would love an episode of Game Changer that Sam turns up for, and the game is actually he's one of the contestants, but he doesn't know. So he thinks he's doing Sam Says 4.
Mm.
And then someone like Jacob
Production
walks out dressed as
him.
Sam, and he sends Sam over to one of the pillar, and then Jacob is like the host for the episode.
Well, you could do it as well. Like Sam does the intros for them all, and then it's like whatever he says, they then come out dressed as him, and he's like, okay, and they go to their podium, and each one of them comes dressed out like, and he's like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Like he has no idea. Yeah, it would be cool to see it flipped on him by production.
And I think it could happen. Maybe it doesn't happen this season. It's definitely something they want to try and pull off, because there's no way the other people who like write the concepts with him don't have a chat amongst themselves going, we need to get Sam one of these days, because he'd love it as well. Once he realizes he has to play along and he's like in the hot seat,
yeah,
I think he'll just be like, oh, this is great, and he'll fall more in love with the show already.
Mm-hmm.
Right. How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes, the live action remake.
The How to Train Your Dragon animated films is one of the greatest animated films of all time, I think. It's incredibly popular with basically anyone who's ever seen it. An entire generation of people love Toothless the Dragon and Hiccup and Berk and the Vikings. It's great.
Yeah.
I have been a long-time hater of animated films getting live-action remakes.
Yeah.
I've been very clear about that.
Yeah.
I believe
even
that's
I have.
wholly unnecessary. Yeah. I ripped the fuck out of Lilo and Stitch. I've ripped the fuck out of every single one of them. I went to this film partially because Jenna wanted to see it, partially because I wanted to see it, but also the big difference between this and every other single live action remake is, for the first time ever, the director of the animated film returned to direct the live-action remake. And that, it gives it a little bit more of a this isn't a money grab authenticity. Or at least not just a money grab.
Yeah.
Because the original director who made that first film you care about so much is back to protect that.
Yes.
Now, I was critical when trailers came out. Visually, it didn't look as bright and as interesting.
Mm.
And that a lot of the trailer just felt like a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah.
Now, I do stand by them criticisms. I do think, basically, the film's a shot-for-shot remake. I've not rewatched the animated since, but I can't think of any real differences.
Right.
And colour and visuals-wise, it isn't as bad as I thought from the trailer.
Mm.
But it's definitely nowhere near as visually interesting as the original.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the acting performances from Gerard Butler, Nick Frost especially, the actor who plays Hiccup, whose name I forget, and all the other characters, genuinely brilliant. Everyone involved in this film was acting their socks off. Nick Frost absolutely stands out. His performance as Gobber was generational, really, really good. But everyone was acting their hearts out, made it a lot easier to go along with.
Yeah.
The CGI for Toothless and the other dragons was really fucking good. Like, annoyingly good. And because the director cares so much about the characters and the story, he didn't do anything crazy like have the fundamental understanding of the character's relationship be changed just to make it different. It's difficult, right? Because I do still believe that there is no reason to remake an animated film in live action.
Yeah.
All this film has done is it's given me a very slim use case, which I don't think warrants it being made, but doesn't harm the legacy of the original. By genuinely feeling like rewatching the film for the first time. Because in your, like, the way it looks is obviously so different.
Yeah.
That it is different enough, but the story and the beats are so similar, and the director is consistent, which allows it to feel even more similar, that it does feel like you're watching the same film for the first time again. And as a result of that, it was a really good experience. I loved it. It was great. Don't get me wrong. If someone says you want to watch How to Train Your Dragon, my first question is still going to be original or live action.
Yeah.
And if they go whichever you want, I'm still going to choose original because it is the superior film. But this is the first time I've not just left huffing and puffing at what a waste of fucking time one of these films was. Yeah. I'm like, okay, did it need to be made? No. But it did employ a bunch of people for a while. It's given a new generation of kids that are too young to have already seen the animated one a first experience of it. And as someone who loved the original and didn't want it fucked with, it allowed me to, as close as physically possible, re-experience it for the first time.
Fair. I mean,
good. It's a good, like.
It's the first time we've got a good one.
Yeah, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to recommending going to see a live action remake.
But yeah, I think that's fair.
But me and Jenna both walked out the cinema and we were like, oh, it just makes me want to rewatch the animated ones now. But that's not a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
Like, I'm okay with these films if I leave and go, oh, that was good. I really want to rewatch the originals, though. Like, if I left The Lion King, I was like, oh, I really want to rewatch the original now. Or Lilo and Stitch, oh, I really want to rewatch the original. Fair enough. But no one's leaving them films feeling that way.
Yeah, I get what you
mean. I'm curious to see if they remake the rest of the series. I assume they are. I hope he stays on. I know it's made a fuck ton of money already. It will probably have already made more than the original did.
Possibly.
But this doesn't change the fact that we do need to respect animation and not just when we see an animated film be a success, try and make it live action so it can be more success.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, sorry, I do lie.
Oh,
There is one major change from the original. Honestly, it was so distracting, it practically ruined the film.
okay, you're obviously meaning something here.
So in the original, Gobber is missing his left leg. Sorry, his right leg.
Mm.
In the remake, Gobber is missing his left leg. Insane. And do you want to hear the bullshit excuse they gave for why they did it?
They watched it in a mirror.
Nope. Nick Frost needed surgery on his left leg.
Oh,
When the director discovered this, he said, don't have surgery till we're done filming. Use that pain. And they made him play Gobber with a leg that needed surgery. So he was naturally hobbling on that side anyway. So they just made that wincing and that movement his missing leg.
well, fair play.
The only valid reason
Yeah,
to make
fair
a
play.
change. I also completely forgot, because it's been so long since I've seen the original, how
Yeah, I've watched them in ages.
like disability positive this film is. The amount of Vikings who are just missing limbs and just cracking on, but you see how it affects them. Not just, oh look, they're not really disabled because they have a hook for an arm. It's like there's a difference here, but they've just worked around it because people adapt. It was like such a yes. Most of the people who are disabled, they don't let it slow them down. They just realise they need to be different.
Fair. Yeah. I hadn't really thought about it.
And it also reminded me how amazing the How to Train Your Dragon score is.
It is good
Yeah,
on the originals.
it is honestly might be one of the most underrated scores of all time. Because when you think of a great score, you're not going to How to Train Your Dragon, but it's pretty fucking good. Like that music was hitting. But yeah, overall, it might be the only good remake of an animated film that we ever get.
Probably the last, unfortunately.
Did you watch anything interesting this week?
There was something I've completely forgot to mention or remind you about it, because I'm pretty sure you also, like me, forgot about its existence coming. Tales of the Underworld is out.
Oh, I've seen this every time I've opened Disney Plus for the last 4 weeks, and I keep going to myself, "Oh, we were supposed to watch that," and then I can just bulldoze through whatever else I was doing.
So
because you went and got a job the week it came out, and we missed a couple of weeks.
Well, I watched them all. I think it was like last week when I was down with my brother-in-law, because he's big into Star Wars. We noticed it was out, so we were like, "Oh, cool." Binged them all in one go because they're only short.
What do we think? Any good?
Much better than the
Tales of the Empire.
Tales of the Empire one. I really enjoyed it. It was cool to get some backstory on Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress. Seeing a little bit more, kind of filling the gap of her story, was cool to see. So yeah, much better than the Tales of the Empire one. I would definitely say it's worth a watch. Does make me wish we got more Cad Bane though. I fucking love Cad Bane. He's such a cool character. So yeah, definitely. I'm glad they made this one. I'm gonna take a mild bit of credit, even though it's not anything to do with me, for the suggestion way back that they need to do a Tales of the Underworld.
Don't forget to cut your residual check, Disney.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see if they do any. Like, I have no other ideas of like strong themes of what they could do, unless they did like, the only other one I can think of is like Tales of a Pilot, and you give us like a TIE fighter pilot and an X-wing pilot, which I think could maybe be cool.
Yeah, could do like Tales of the Rebellion if they wanted, because right now they're just stuck in like the Clone Wars time frame.
True.
And like the characters that were a pivotal part of the Clone Wars animated show. If they were willing to kind of go outside that a little bit, you could go to like Tales of the Rebellion and stuff like that. It depends how far they want to go.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about, like, you could do Tales of a Mandalorian and like not like actual Mandalorians and go into that, like pull some
Tales of Mandalore and just give us a couple of
Tales of so there is definitely probably some more legwork, like, room there. So
Yeah,
I
I
guess
mean, you could do Tales of Mandalore and have one of the characters be Sabine, not Sabine. Yeah, Sabine. That's who Obi-Wan didn't have a relationship with. Wink, wink. And you could make one of her like 3 episodes
yeah,
be the time she met Obi-Wan when they were both younger, and it was a little bit interesting. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. You could, there's some stuff they could do there.
Absolutely. It just depends how much they view Tales of as an extension of Clone Wars
Hmm.
versus an anthology series for Star Wars in
Yeah.
general.
Um. Other than that, the only other thing I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think the only other thing I've watched this week is I'm still on my Critical Role campaign 3 binge. I think
Rewatch.
a couple of weeks ago when we last talked, I was on like episode 73 or something. I'm now on episode 92.
Nice.
I literally finished not long before I was starting to record this. I finished episode 91, which. So I knew a spoil. Well, I knew of a spoiler. I guess you're not too fussed about spoilers for campaign.
No, I'm good. However, if you are worried about spoilers for campaign 3, be
Yes.
careful.
Yeah, but I mean, this episode 91 came out like a year ago, so
Yeah, so like
feel
pull your
most
finger out.
most Critical Role fans will have already seen this. FCG, who is played by some who we know as Scanlan from the whatever series. He's a little automaton robot. I'd had a spoiler because obviously it'd been out for it that I knew he sacrificed himself. I didn't know when. I
Didn't
presumed
know when, for what, for why.
well, and I presumed must be towards the end of the story, like in a final act of heroic. It was episode 91, right near the end, and it caught me off guard, and it was emotional. And he full on like self-destructs essentially to save the party. Which in the way that he does like a little speech that like his found family or like his true family.
Yeah.
What
Moment.
yeah, but what adds to the emotional moment now, because obviously this is a year on, so there's a lot of other stuff to come out. It came out like I want to say it was the summer last year. He put up a video that he'd been fighting cancer.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he went through cancer, of which the final song in the Critical Role animated, you know, where he does the song and they're all going on their own paths.
Mm.
That song was the last thing he voice acted, recorded before he went for surgery for his cancer.
Fucking hell.
Which also adds emotion to that song. Like there's a whole level of it. But then this was right before, this was not long. People have figured out this episode was a month or so, like not a bit of time after he had the diagnosis. So he knew, the cast obviously must have known. So this message about like how much everyone meant and stuff is like, people now realize there's a lot of out of character depth there to that, which makes it more emotional.
And it probably hit the fucking other players at the table a bit harder as well.
When he says what he's going to do, you see Matt suddenly like, oh, he's doing this. To which there's a moment Matt's like, okay, two things. One, there will be a blast radius. So do you want to reposition? And like they work that out. And he goes, I need to make sure, like, you understand what this means. And if you, and like it's okay, like this can like it's okay for you to do this, but you need like I need to know you understand. And
yeah,
like
if you want to do this, I'll support it, but I need you to know the consequences of what you're about to do.
Mm-hmm. To which Sam then makes a typical little trolley joke of being like, oh well, what's the saving throw that I need to roll to survive this? It's like a DC 12, right, man? But yeah, the whole party then like you see them all suddenly understand what he's doing, and then they're all like, no, you can't fucking do this. So yeah, watching that episode like not long before recording, I was just like, this hit really hard, and I wasn't ready for it coming. This campaign's been really good though, and I'm close to, if you recall me mentioning Brennan ran another like little one shot for them.
Mini quest,
yeah. I'm getting close to when that happened, like in campaign storyline. I probably won't watch those episodes again because I still remember them quite well. But yeah, I'm trying so hard to get to the end of this campaign in time for
So how many
potentially
episodes are in campaign 3?
121, I want to say. So
So
I've
you
got like
20,
30 more.
30-ish episodes before campaign 4, which hasn't been given an official date.
Yes. But I
I'm
mean,
sure
I've
you'll be
done
fine.
what? 20 in
20 in
2
2
weeks?
weeks. 10 episodes a week, 3 weeks, maybe 4.
Yeah, so I should be done within another month, which I think should be fine.
Yeah.
Then
you
I'll
might be
do,
a couple of episodes behind you can catch up on.
well, and then I'll do the usual thing where I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep up with this campaign like live this time and on track, and then
And
it'll
then you
get like
won't.
a couple of months into it and I miss one episode and it's like, oh, that's a lot to catch up on. And then you miss 2 episodes and it's like, oh, that's not even more to catch up on. And then it's a slippery slope. But we will
big
see.
time. Right.
Well, is there anything else you watched? No.
No, not really worth discussing. I watched. You know what? Actually, this season is finished now, so I will mention that I've been watching it.
Oh.
I've been watching Mobland.
I've heard good things.
Yeah, so it's Guy Ritchie show. Guy Ritchie crime British show. You can't
Yeah.
really go wrong. Tom Hardy, Piers Brosnan, Helen Mirren. A lot of good actors involved. It's compelling. It's not as good as The Gentleman, in my opinion.
Okay.
My only issue with it, and it is a big issue. Piers Brosnan. Do you know where Piers Brosnan's from, Horry?
No, actually.
So he is Northern Irish, or maybe just Irish. He's from Ireland.
Okay.
So what would you imagine he wouldn't struggle with?
An Irish accent.
Wrong.
But saying that, when was he last living in Ireland?
Oh, I think it's been a while. But like, to put this in perspective, right? My mother now has lived in the UK for longer than she lived in Ireland. I don't hear it because she just sounds like my mum to me. But people who meet her for the first time clock that she's Irish still. I don't hear her as having an Irish accent. I don't, because that's just what my mum sounds like to me.
Yeah. I mean,
but people are like, oh, they clock that she's got an Irish accent instantly.
I can eat my own words because my granddad fully didn't have an Irish accent. But if his family ever rang from home, it was like full. And he hadn't been in Ireland since he was like 17. So it was like.
I can notice my mum's Irish accent when we go back to Ireland because after being back home for like half a day,
you're like, I can't understand you anymore.
Oh, no, I can still understand it. But like just certain words just change slightly and it's thicker. And I'm like, okay. And maybe that's why I've always thought of her of not having an Irish accent because I know what it sounds like when her accent gets thicker. But he literally just doesn't. He sounds like an American trying to do an Irish accent.
Do you know what I
Not
bet?
even a British person trying to do an Irish accent.
Happened, and this isn't like to let him off though. I bet somewhere along the line he had like a vocal coach to get rid of any Irish twang when he was becoming a bigger actor. So he had like a very
when he's trying to do more American roles.
Yeah, and he's completely just broken that connection. So now it is an American trying to do an Irish.
Truly bad. The first 2 episodes, Helen Mirren is also Irish in the show. And she can't do an Irish accent for love nor money, which is really sad because I love Helen Mirren. So like the only 2 characters in the entire show that are explicitly Irish.
And they can't do it.
and every time they speak, I'm like, oh my god, what is this? After the first 2 episodes, I was like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stick through this because it was that bad. But the rest, then they're like, they are main characters, but there's so many main characters. It's not like they're in every waking moment of the show, and the story itself is compelling enough.
Yeah,
that I'm like, okay, I'll give this a go. So yeah, season 1 of that's done. It was very good. Me and Jenna also watched Rivals on Disney Plus, which is a show set in Britain in the 1980s about kind of like TVs and like just kind of like the drama in the TV world and what that looks like. Okay. Starring David Tennant, Danny Dyer. Danny Dyer, phenomenal in it. Genuinely, really good.
Fair play.
Danny Dyer has found his role. Really good show. Enjoyed the fuck out of that. It's quite, we'll say raunchy. But it's 80s TV stuff. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we watched that, and that was really, really good. And they're working on season 2 of that as well, so I'm excited for that. But yeah, that's it really. I'm kind of looking for something to watch, but I'm also aware we've got like The Bear and stuff like that coming in the next few weeks.
Waiting for The Bear.
I'm like I'm binge watching like YouTube series that I've not watched in a while just to get me through. Right, our character profile this week is on Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen. So this is based on Jimmy's origin in the post-Crisis on Infinite Earths version, which is 1986 to 2011, because you know DC resets their universe in an aggressive way every 20 years. So here we go. James Bartholomew Olsen, aka Jimmy, is a photographer and reporter for the Daily Planet in Metropolis. He is also a close personal friend of Kryptonian superhero Superman. When his dad went missing in action while on deployment in Southeast Asia, Jimmy's mother became incredibly protective of him, and she didn't really allow him out of her sight. As a result, he would often be stuck with her at work at the newsagents. This was where he would try and experience the world via newspapers and magazines. This would lead to Jimmy, an incredibly bright child, developing a keen interest in photography and journalism. This interest would continue as he began interning at the Daily Planet while still a junior in high school. While at the Daily Planet, Jimmy would meet Clark Kent and Lois Lane, up-and-coming reporters. As Jimmy had a habit of getting himself in trouble, he would often find himself needing rescuing. On one of these occasions, he used some scrap electronic components to briefly create a hypersonic blast. This noise, which humans couldn't hear, was heard by Superman, and Superman followed this noise to locate and save Jimmy. This led to this concept being developed further by Jimmy and becoming the iconic Signal Watch, which Jimmy uses to alert Superman when he's in danger. Jimmy has worked super closely with Superman as well as Clark Kent and Lois Lane for many years, but this should not discredit him as a journalist and photographer in his own right, as he has managed to accomplish winning a Pulitzer Prize for photography, the highest award for photography in journalism. Jimmy is, and it feels insane to say because I feel like people our age have never had a good rendition of Jimmy Olsen, because Jimmy's just not been that big a part of Superman film.
No. Which
is insane because he is like the core cast. Obviously, we have the infamous Zack Snyder version of Jimmy Olsen, where he plays a secret CIA agent, which is...
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, so you remember Clark goes to Africa and to save Lois, and then you have the person with Lois who was a secret agent, which is why Lois got captured. That was Jimmy Olsen.
Right.
I'm excited for this version of Jimmy Olsen. In the bits of the trailers and bits of footage we've seen kind of him and Clark having a good laugh. I'm curious what they kind of do to develop his relationship with Superman. Bearing in mind we've seen a fair bit of Superman doing like traditional superhero saving things. I kind of hope we get a Signal Watch. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I think the notion of just having Jimmy being a bit of a liability who Superman has to come save from himself, it will give a bit of personality to the story. So I'm very curious to see how Jimmy comes across in James Gunn's DCU. Obviously, it's very bright, it's very hopeful. I feel like having, not a bumbling idiot, because Jimmy's a good guy, but a bit of a clumsy dude that Superman's always saving sounds quite good to me.
I think it could work quite well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I was sat here
Yes.
And I was like, oh, we got some films coming up.
Well, it's got a
And
lot
then it
coming up.
dawned on me. In the next 6 weeks, we have all of these films that I'm about to list coming out. These are
Okay.
all films I plan on seeing in the cinema.
Well, I can guess 3 of them.
Yeah, do you want to guess?
Well, it's going to be Superman, Fantastic Four, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic
Right.
World, sorry. All right.
Yes, they are the what I would consider the big summer blockbusters.
Yeah.
But we have so much more.
I have no
So,
idea what's
starting with this Friday,
okay.
we have Elio, which is the new Pixar film.
Oh,
It looks like
yes.
Pixar might be back. It's about a little boy who asks aliens to abduct him because he doesn't fit in. I am incredibly excited about this film. We saw a couple of trailers for it a few weeks ago, and we were like, oh, that looks interesting. And then we saw the second trailer while we were out at something a couple of weeks ago. And we were like, yeah, no, we need to book that. That looks really good. I'm very excited for that.
Okay.
We also have 28 Years Later.
Oh, is that out in the next week?
Yes, I'm going to see that this Saturday.
Do you know what's funny? It's like, that's been discussed for a while now that, oh my God, it's finally coming. I just kind of had no idea when it was coming.
It just snuck up on you.
Yeah.
I'll be going to see that this Saturday, so I'm very excited about that. Then we have a film that Horry didn't think I'd have any interest in, the F1 movie.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you said that. You were going to see that. Annoyingly, the week you're seeing it, I have a busy weekend that I'm just not going to get the chance to go see it.
Yeah, we'll discuss it once you've gone and seen it. But me and Jenna saw a trailer for it ages ago. And a lot of the people who worked on Top Gun Maverick worked on this film.
Well, yeah,
like
it's basically
cinematographer dudes and
same
writing team and
crew.
stuff. Brad Pitt's a great actor. The concept of a NASCAR driver making the jump to F1, while that will piss off some racing fans, makes for a compelling story. Like a really compelling story. And I'm excited. It looks good. The early reviews of it are good.
Yeah, and I mean, to add to the hope that it's good as well, like, I know Lewis Hamilton has advised on F1 stuff. They've filmed at the F1 on like grid walks and stuff to get actual on grid shots. So the other F1 drivers are going to have cameos. I know at the start of...
Sorry, they did a lot of actual driving as well.
Yeah, they've done a lot of actual driving. I want to say Lewis has stunt doubled I'm sure some of the F1 drivers have done stunt doubling essentially to drive the F1 cars, or some professional racers have at least. Apparently the 2 actors that are the drivers have also put on something like 6,000 miles each.
Yeah,
on
that's
the car.
What I heard on the F1 cars they were using. They put on like 6,000 miles while filming this.
Similar to how like Top Gun, like a lot of that was actual in planes and whatnot. Like it does, everything is leading to it to be like a good, respectful, like, obviously it's not going to be purely like, oh, this is exactly what F1's like, but it's going to be like a good dramatized film of like an F1 story.
At the end of the day, when it comes to films about sport and stuff, I don't need it to be perfect. Well, I just need you to not say something stupid.
Yeah, it's like Top Gun. No one thinks that's exactly what it's like to be a fighter pilot, but like they make a good effort to actually showcase what it's like flying a jet.
With like sports films, I don't care if it's not perfect about like the accuracy of it, but what I don't want, to put it in a football term, is I don't want someone scoring a goal from their own half and then getting flagged offside, because that can't happen in football. And that's like an obvious oversight that anyone who knows football will be like, but that's completely fine. He's in his own half. He can't be offside. As long as they don't do something that boneheaded, I don't think F1 fans should be angry. If they use like DSR at the wrong time or something, you've just got to be like...
I think this will be like a real... And F1 fans are going to love this. I have a feeling it's going to be like, oh shit, we've got a really good F1 film.
Yeah,
So
and like they've got good actors involved, it should be good. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Then after that, we have the new Jurassic World film. The first Jurassic World film that's appealed to me since they
Yeah,
relaunched the
to be fair,
franchise with
same.
Chris Pratt.
Tempted
It looks
to see.
good. Yeah, Jonathan Bailey, Scarlett Johansson, big fucking dinosaurs. Like, what can go
Actual
wrong?
like they've even said like they've lent more back towards making this scary and horror at times
Yeah.
because that's what it should
Yeah.
be.
Because like I don't ever think I viewed Jurassic Park even when I was younger as like a horror film.
No,
But it was definitely
yeah, but
suspenseful
like the
and
raptor
intense.
moment.
Yeah, it's like it's intenseful and it's suspense, and you're like, and that's what you want. You want the moments where you're like holding your breath because you don't want to give the character's position away, like the raptor moment. Or just say like, no one make a noise. You want to experience it with them.
Yeah.
Then we of course have Superman.
Yes. The launch of the DCU, like officially.
Our first DCU film. I have paid my uplift on my Cineworld card to get IMAX tickets.
Nice.
I've been excited for this film since it was announced that it was going to be the start of the DCU like 2 years ago now, or whatever the fuck it was. I believe in this film wholeheartedly. I will not be afraid to criticize it if I think it's bad, but I believe with my entire body that this film is going to be worth the wait, and I cannot wait for it.
I agree.
Then we have I Know What You Did Last Summer, the next installment in a franchise that's been left dormant for a while. I really like the OG I Know What You Did Last Summer. Ironically, the first knowledge of I Know What You Did Last Summer for me came from like Scary Movie 3 or whatever it was. And then I went back and watched a lot of the horror films that inspired the scary movies when I got a little bit older. But you've got Freddie Prinze Jr. and Michelle, I forget her name, returning.
Okay.
Play their characters. Hopefully it'll be fun. Which I know is an insane thing to say about a horror film, but you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
I want it to feel like... I want to feel something. Then we have Fantastic Four. There is a chance in a 2-week period I am floating on a cloud as we go from Superman to Fantastic Four if both these films hit as hard as I hope they hit.
Yeah, there is a very high chance.
There might have been never a more apt time for the phrase "we have never been more back."
It's never been more truer.
And then in an insane world, right, where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for 7. And I am of the opinion that film has never been in a better state than it is right now. We have something I never thought we'd get again. We have a stupid, silly, slapstick comedy with the Naked Gun reboot starring Liam Neeson.
Oh, yeah, I remember you talked about this.
The second trailer for this has come out recently.
Oh.
We have never been more back. So, for those who aren't aware, the Naked Gun and the Airplane style films were a very stupid style of comedy in the 80s. The most iconic moment in that kind of film is, of course, the "surely you can't be serious," and the main character responds, "I am serious, and don't call me Shirley." That is the style of comedy we're dealing with throughout this, like the entirety of these films. Like a hospital, what is it? It's a big building with sick people in, but we don't have time to talk about that right now. In this second trailer, Liam Neeson says to Pamela Anderson's character, "Please take a chair," and then she grabs the chair and walks out the room.
Nice.
I'm so excited. This film might not be good, but it's going to be funny. I believe that with my entire heart and soul. I've already told my dad. I sent my dad the second trailer, and I was like, "Dad, do you want to come see this with me and Jenna?" He was like, "Yes, that looks great. Yes, please." I'm like, "Yes, we will be there." I cannot wait, and I need this to be a success so that they realise there is still a market for over-the-top stupid comedies.
That's what I mean. Like, over-the-top comedies don't need to be good films. They just have to be funny.
No, because you can make them cheap enough.
Yeah.
Like we talk about how at the minute horror films are like keeping the film industry alive because they're cheap to make and they make money. For the longest time, it was rom-coms, comedies, and horrors were the 3 pillars of keeping cinema alive because they were cheap to make and they made money. And at some point, and superhero films do partially take the blame, I accept that. We got rid of comedies and then rom-coms to a lesser extent, but they did suffer.
Yeah.
And it was just horror films, you better hold up this entire industry in between our $300 million films. The Naked Gun could genuinely be the revival of this kind of genre of comedy we need. And to a lesser extent, it might be the revival of Pamela Anderson that allows her to a new generation of people to be an actress again and not just viewed as like an 80s sex icon. Because that's what she was, and that kind of hampered her acting career.
Yeah.
And there are going to be a generation of people like me and you who maybe don't know who Pamela Anderson is. And they're going to go watch this film and be like, oh, she's fucking hilarious. Why isn't she in more things?
Yeah.
And I'm excited for this. And I genuinely, although the chances are slim, I see a world where I go 8 for 8 on this run of films, and I'm reminded of why I adore cinema so much.
We can hope.
I've got all my bases covered here. I've got a Pixar animated film. I've got an out-and-out horror film. I've got a drama sports film. I've got a kind of intense action horror. I've got a superhero film. I've got another horror film. I've got another superhero film, and I've got a slapstick comedy. The only thing I'm really missing is a rom-com.
Yeah. Pretty much covered all bases there.
Why cinema's great. Because there are a lot of people who are probably going to only go watch one of these films at most. And I'm going to come in here every week for the next 6 weeks, and I'm going to go, if you have a spare £15, go watch that film. Holy shit, I love cinema. Thank you, creative people of the world, because I'm so excited for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and on top of that as well, obviously we have TV stuff as well. Yeah, with The Bear and Ironheart and probably other things that I'm forgetting. What time to be alive? God.
It's going to be stacked.
Anyway, we're getting some nerdy news.
Yes, quite a bit of news this week.
And we're starting off with some phenomenal news.
Yes.
Disney and Universal are suing generative AI company Midjourney for breach of copyright.
Have you seen the comparison
evidence?
The comparison images they're using as evidence. And like how
honestly,
it is...
without the labels, I would not have been able to tell you which was which.
Well, I think if I stared long enough at the Midjourney, I'd be like, this feels off. But like on social media, at a glance, like scrolling a feed, like I'm just going to think that was just, oh yeah, that's from the Thor film or whatever. Like,
The only one that I knew instantly was Hulk, because they'd made Hulk like too weirdly muscular and it had added muscles that don't exist. I was like, that's not what Hulk looks like. But the other ones, like Iron Man especially, because there are so many images of Iron Man on the internet, was... And because he's in the sky as well, there's not as much background for it to fuck up. So I'm like, I don't know.
But yeah, I did see some... I can't remember where I saw it, but it was on social media somewhere, but someone made a pretty solid point of the only reason they are now suing Midjourney is because they've realized they can't make money themselves through these means.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, oh, we can't make money using like in this, and it's people are disliking it. Okay, we're going to sue you so you can't do anything with it either. Like, it comes from a capitalist place that they're doing this, but the end result is going to be positive because them going after these generative AI, because I do think there is a place for these like AI tools that aren't these generative ones built off scraped data. Like there is a place for tools that use images you put in to help you generate things with like a missed frame or something that you might need. Like I think there is a place, and that's okay, because there's still an artist's intent in it, and it's using their own thing to make the thing that they want. The generative AI has always been the issue, and how much energy it uses, the fact it's all illegally acquired. The fact that, who is it? Is it Nick Clegg went and became Meta's like global? It's one of our ex-politicians.
One of our
One of our ex-politicians went and worked for Meta as their global whatever for a bit,
Oh,
then resigned. Hang on, let me. British politician Meta. Yeah, it was Nick
yes,
Clegg.
it was Nick Clegg. As if he couldn't become any more of a scumbag.
He ended up stepping down because of there was, I think, there was some questionable things, and then it kind of he stepped away. It wasn't like I'm done here now, I retired. There was, but anyway, I saw a thing that like a month or so ago, he made a comment about someone must have asked him in an interview about AI and stuff, and like because they're trying to regulate it, and people are pushing for regulation. He's like, regulating AI like ChatGPT and stuff will make that industry not profitable, or that like making them have to pay for the data. This was it. Making them have to pay copyrights for the data that they used to train it would then kill any profitability of that industry. And I saw it. All the comments were like, "Oh no, boo hoo! Like we care." Like, but like,
so like let's be completely clear. It's very difficult because not enough people understand AI because deliberately by these companies it's become a bastardized term.
Yeah, it's just become a blanket term.
Yeah. So we have to sit here and we have to go fuck AI so people understand we don't like generative AI. There is, like you said, a world where some forms of AI can be useful. But right now, if we sit here and we say to a layman, oh, AI is okay sometimes, in their head they're like, oh, they mean it's okay for me to make an entire video of generative AI as long as I put a hashtag Gen AI. I'm like, no, fuck you, you're the worst person in the world. But forgetting even the differences in the AI. With generative AI right now, it is stealing from creators. It is stealing, granted, probably not from me and Hori directly, because I doubt an AI scraper cares about our videos, but it's stealing from YouTubers who have uploaded their video to the internet. It's stealing from writers who've written a book.
Yeah.
And it's just you've got to remember, generative AI isn't genuine artificial intelligence.
No,
it is essentially a super aggressive predictive text.
Yeah.
Yeah? That's all it does.
Yeah.
You give it a bunch of things, it has a database full of all the stuff that's ever been written in that word, and then it creates a bullshit sandwich where it guesses what the next word should be to make sense. And all it's doing when they say, oh, look how much better it's getting, is it's getting slightly better at predicting the bullshit. It's not creating anything. It's just stealing from someone and regurgitating it.
Yeah.
And then when you add on top of that every single chat GPT query uses a litre of water, it's literally not worth it.
Nope.
Just burn it all down. The only way in which AI of any real kind serves humanity is if it allows people to focus on being creative. Right now, the only people who seem to be using AI are people who are trying to use it to stop being creative. And I would literally rather live on a desolate wasteland than have to spend a single day. I love the cinema. Do you know how quickly I will cancel ever going to the cinema again if Cineworld start showing AI films? If Cineworld was announced tomorrow, oh, we're going to be the first cinema in the country that's going to show 100% AI generated films, I'm literally cancelling my Cineworld card right now. I've paid a year up front. I'll lose 8 months. I'll never go again.
Yeah, no.
It's fucking stupid. Get them gone.
It's like, as much as I hate the big corporate companies, this is when they are useful, because Disney and Universal are probably the only couple that have the money and the like legal power to try and shut something like Midjourney down, in the hopes, or like not even shut it down, just get like change, like this will potentially be the push that actually pushes some regulation.
The only thing that concerns me is the kind of precedent that's set here only protects IP and doesn't protect and like doesn't hurt AI, if that makes sense. So if the only precedent is set there is if it's your IP, they've got to pay for it. That doesn't actually do anything because it would mean every single one of us who've put anything on the internet need to find out if it's been scraped and then sue them. I mean, I guess in theory you could, if you're in the European Union, you could submit a GDPR information request, and if that comes back with any information, you can sue them. But that still requires people individually to go, are you using my information for your model? If you are, pay me or stop using it.
I do think that it won't be necessarily like it'll push for like an IP specific thing. It will push a blanket thing of like, they cannot collect, or like there's going to be some push that like this is going to prove that their content they've collected hasn't been, like, they have no copyright to do it, which then their whole current data set is tainted, so essentially they would have to be legally made to start afresh by collecting it, and it's like that potentially will help everyone. I do think this is the first step to actually getting like a solid, broad legal thing that's going to get put in place because the big boys want it.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is the few times they're useful.
It's definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully it's a bigger step than we're thinking it is. Hopefully it like does a lot of damage to the generative AI space. But even if it just fucking causes Midjourney to go under, it's a W.
Well, yeah.
The iconic Pixar blooper reels from our favourite films like Toy Story and Toy Story 2, which was some of my favourite things growing up. I don't know about you. Watching Toy Story and then at the end seeing Woody doing outtakes, never not brilliant. Are making a return for the first time in 20 years with their new film Elio.
I saw that this has happened. I haven't watched the...
I haven't either because I want to experience it for the first time.
But
I love so much that this has come back. This feels like Pixar have realised they've strayed from their identity and they're trying to like capture that magic again. Oh no, this is what we do. We take our voice actors making mistakes in the booth and then we animate that as well because that's what making a film is.
It's more just as simple as like, it shows to me that they're in a place where they're letting the artists have the extra time to do this. Yeah. Like, there was a period where they'd be like, no, this is wasted time and wasted money. Whereas like now they're like, yeah, if you like, there's a bunch of outtakes. If you want to animate one of them, go for it. Like they're letting the artist then spend time animating, which is a great thing.
It's so good. I feel like everyone our age remembers watching them outtakes at the end, like Toy Story especially, and it was great. It helps sell that this is a real world. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to like watch the animated toys do the things, and then they're fucking up a line. And you're like, oh, they're just like real actors. Look, they're real. It's great. Robert Eggers is working on a new take on A Christmas Carol. Apparently, Willem Dafoe is at the top of the list to play Ebenezer Scrooge. Now, you've sighed and shook your head at this. I'm going to say something that is basically the antithesis of me.
Okay.
I think A Christmas Carol is one of very few stories that is always worth remaking. Because in history, every time they've remade this film, they've given it a special twist that's made it unique and good. And as long as they keep doing that, it's worth it.
My worry is, with the way the industry is nowadays, that it won't be a good remake.
That's when you go to Robert Eggers, because Robert Eggers is going to write and direct.
Don't get me wrong, you're right. There's a lot of Christmas carols and they're all good.
Robert Eggers is a horror director, like through and through. So this could be like a genuinely quite scary A Christmas Carol.
Possibly.
With like some of the most fucked up looking ghosts we've seen. Sorry, spirits. And Willem Dafoe's Ebenezer Scrooge is like...
Yeah, I mean...
We will patiently await more information and see how it comes across, but I like the idea of it. I have to be honest.
I saw this.
After 38 years, Star Wars spoof film Spaceballs is getting a sequel.
They've seen how much Star Wars has struggled with films. They're like, now is our time.
Horry, I don't want to get ahead of myself. And I've not seen the original Spaceballs, so sue me, but it was 40 years ago. Like, even Horry wasn't born yet. That's how long ago it was.
I don't even know if I've seen the actual full film.
But the Naked Gun is coming back in a few weeks.
Mm.
We know they're working on a new scary movie.
Mm.
And now Spaceballs. Are we entering a renaissance of spoof and silly films?
Do you know what they should do for this? They would like really lean into taking the piss out of Star Wars. They should do what the sequels did and basically rewrite the whole same story, but just slightly change it. So like they're taking the piss out of the fact that it's just the same film again.
Have you seen... So, as far as I can tell, all of the major actors are returning to play their characters.
I had seen that.
One of them is Bill Pullman, who played Spaceballs Han Solo. Lone Star. Lewis Pullman is his son. Lewis Pullman has been cast in the sequel. People are assuming, and I'm hoping they're right, that Lewis Pullman will be playing Spaceballs' equivalent of Kylo Ren.
That would be quite funny.
That'd be really good.
If they fully just essentially take the piss out of the sequel films, that's exactly what this needs to be.
I'm trying to be open to stupid films that don't have to be good because they're focusing so hard on making you laugh. And if I'm laughing, I don't care if it's like shot well. I'll be honest, I'm gonna go back and watch Spaceballs. I mean, surely it's available somewhere legally.
Probably.
I will fly my flag if I need to, but watch film. It's on Prime Video, so I'll probably give it a go, and it'll probably be quite funny, and I'll probably be even more excited. But I love that these kind of spoof films are making a comeback.
Yeah,
because I feel like we kind of grew up with a lot of good spoof films, and they just kind of disappeared overnight. So the notion of them making a comeback excites me.
Well, like comedy films got a bit more serious comedy films, less spoofy.
Action comedies.
And then it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah. Right. Next up, Gary Oldman has been honoured by King Charles and is now Sir Gary Oldman.
Nice.
I know... Like, I don't believe in the monarchy, like, even remotely. I'm not thrilled with, like, the notion of, like, OBEs and EBEs, OBEs, MBEs, and knighthoods, because it is a bit of, like, the class system that we fought so hard to try and get rid of in the UK. With the exception of creative people. I would like the monarch to crumble, and then, as, like, a nation, we put forward creatives and athletes for these honours. Because, like, I hate the class system of the UK. However, I do not want Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart, Sir Gary Oldman, Sir Ian Botham, and I guess as well Sir David Beckham now, to lose their knighthoods.
Oh, no, and I think the way around it is you just let the respective ones that already have their knighthoods in their realms, they can then knight other people. So you let Sir Ian McKellen knight some actor.
I just like the idea of, like, someone like a Freddie Mercury who didn't get one. And I don't know if he'd qualify because he's not technically a British citizen, but I'd give him one anyway. Getting a knighthood for being like, you were such an important part of footballing culture, tennis culture with Sir Andy Murray, cricket culture, film, TV, theatre, music, whatever, and going, that is so impressive, thank you for everything you've done there. That, I don't know about you, but growing up, I was like, that's really cool. The notion that if you're
Oh, yeah.
passionate about a creative outlet, you can get rewarded with such a high honor. It's fucking awesome. It's one of the few things that we do differently in this country that I fucking love with my bones.
I think it's perfectly fine to essentially let a knight another knight. Like, let them
Yeah.
decide who can be in their ranks. Just do it that way. That's how you keep it going.
Yeah. There's definitely a way, but congrats to Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Fucking
Oh, yeah.
phenomenal actor. Well deserved. The new The Naked Gun trailer, we briefly discussed it
Yeah,
in
you
the
did.
films that are coming up. Very, very good trailer. Had me cracking up laughing. If you are unsure about this film because it's a bit silly, bit off the wall, you're not sure if it's for you, go watch the new trailer. It will give you the vibe perfectly. I think this new generation is ready for something like this because this humour died off a little bit in the 90s. But this kind of humour is very similar to kind of like Gen Z YouTuber Zoomer humour, I think. Like Vine humour. Like road work ahead. Yeah, I sure hope it does. Like,
it's like our generation's humour.
Do you know? So I think like this style of humour could do numbers. Right. James Gunn did an interview with Rolling Stone in which he mentioned the next few things. I will mention them, then we'll discuss them all. Batman and Wonder Woman are currently their main priorities. They're trying to get scripts done. They're trying to get actors in place. That's what their main focus is right now. The Batman Part 2 is not cancelled. Leave Matt Reeves alone and let him work. And I believe the direct quote is, Matt hasn't turned to scripting yet. Leave him to work. Leave him to do his thing. God, the internet is so mean.
Fair play.
The DCU is not afraid to cancel projects if the screenplay is weak, and they have apparently done so already. So if the script isn't what they want and it isn't good enough, they will just bin the fucking thing. They don't care, which is a good thing. And Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow has been renamed to just Supergirl.
I mean,
It makes very little difference.
Yeah, it just makes marketing easier. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I like there is an element here, right, with this one. So Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is the name of the comic.
Yeah.
That this film is based on. That being the working title makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But as it gets closer to coming out, you don't want people to go see the film,
fully compare it to the comic,
come out and go, oh, but it was only like barely inspired by, because they don't know what inspired by means, and then get pissy about it.
It's probably as the script was developed and as the story was like fleshed out fully, they're like, okay, yeah, this was our starting point, but this is more than just that comic as a story. Like, there's more to it than that.
With comic book films, when it comes to inspired by, I take that as vibe of and characterization, i.e., Superman is normally hopeful and bright. If they were to say Superman is inspired by the Injustice storyline, I don't expect it to be Superman versus Batman on whether they should kill criminals. I expect it to be a darker, maybe more morally
ambiguous.
Thank you. Version of Superman. Yeah? I don't expect it to be the exact same story. I expect it to have that kind of a vibe, so I know what to expect from the character.
Exactly.
Because these characters have existed for hundreds of years, they're not consistent. By giving that story, you know what version of that character you can kind of expect. I know a lot of people are being pessimistic about this, and I'm sure there are some things the public don't know. James Gunn, despite what certain minorities would make you believe, does believe in Matt Reeves and what he's doing with the Batman.
Yeah.
And he I don't know how many times he has to scream with all of his lungs, the Batman Part 2 will be made. Matt is working on the script. We are not trying to rush him. We know he needs to do it at his own speed. I know he needs to do it at his own speed because I've written scripts as well. I know how much of a bitch it is. Everyone, just let the man work.
Yeah, it's just the internet. I mean, it always happens because the first one was so good and everyone's loved it. Everyone is just so eager to have the next one, and knowing that he's working on it, they're like, come on, we just want it to be like moving ahead and getting onto, and like people are just like frothing for it, but you need to just let the
Miss.
man work.
Take. You remember when we were growing up that sequels were always dog shit?
Yeah,
This is why, because people would be so excited for after the
they'd
first
rush
one.
him.
They'd rush the second one out and it wouldn't be fully fleshed and it wouldn't be good. And they've learnt from that mistake. And when there's a good film now, they're like, hey, buddy boy, take your time. You write that script at your own speed. And yeah, it means we have to wait longer now. And yes, that does fucking suck. But it does mean the chances of it being bad are much lower.
It wouldn't even surprise me if, like, going off one of the other points, but like James Gunn privately said to Matt, like, talking about waiting, it's like, you best not rush this to hand it in, because I will say no and turn it away if the script's shit. So he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to rush you. Make sure it's just good when you give it to me. Like, that sort of, like, friendly, like, don't
It's
just
funny
give me
as well.
something shit because you're trying to rush it. So
I know James Gunn hasn't completely said it will never happen about Robert Pattinson becoming the DCU Batman. Like he hasn't said it definitely won't be him or it definitely will be him. He's like, that's not a plan right now, but that might change, blah 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 blah. If the plan is still currently for this to be an Elseworld story, why would James Gunn worry about rushing it?
yeah, he wouldn't. Also, like, I mean, this ties into him discussing that Batman and Wonder Woman as priorities, because there was a bit more to the Batman thing of that he is struggling a bit with deciding on Batman because
Yeah.
he doesn't. He's like, yes, Batman is a big part of the DCU, but he doesn't want to just throw him in there for the sake of throwing him in there.
Yeah,
Also,
I think the quote was, "I don't want to make a Batman film just because he's our biggest character. I want to
Yeah.
make a Batman film because we have an idea of a good film."
and for him to have like a reason to be in the world.
Yeah.
Also, he said that like he doesn't want Batman to be whimsical, and
Which did make me a bit sad.
I think it's not so much in the sense of like it won't be Batman with all these wacky gadgets. I think it's more like they're not going to turn him into like a bit of a lighter hearted.
I'm going to be Adam West, but here's the problem. I want Adam West.
But like
Here's my thing.
I don't think they're going to
Anytime
go
they-
super gritty. I just think he's making it clear that like Batman's going to have his Batman vibe. Like what you're all seeing these bright colors and everything. We're not going to be going like that crazy with Batman. We're going to keep it feeling like Batman.
My only concern is anytime they try and make Batman too dark, one of the first things they do is they get rid of Robin. Because Robin is inherently a bit too bouncy and light. But that's the fucking point. And
Yeah,
I'm really worried that we're going to lose out on Robin again.
See, I think this might more mean it's just like they're gonna add Robin, but they're doing this to keep themselves in check so that adding Robin doesn't make them start going too wild of it. They're making sure they're gonna keep it in this like good Batman vibe, and that's their sort of like guideline to keep Robin in check, so that he is there and he is a bit lighter and he does add that, but it's like they're gonna balance it with a Batman that isn't also like that, if you get what I mean. Like I think this potentially is him being like, look, we're going for this vibe. They probably are going to add Robin. They're being careful not to let that then, bit like with the Thor film where they kind of let themselves run away with it because they got a bit too let everything slide. I think this is his way of kind of keeping some guidelines so they can, yeah, we'll add Robin and we'll keep a bit of that, but we're not going to let ourselves go too wild with it.
Yeah, maybe. Overall, I love how open James Gunn's being about what's going on.
Mm.
It does have the unintended side effect of I feel like everything's taking longer because I'm hearing from him more regularly.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Just like I've said, like, don't tell me a video game's coming out until I can pre-order it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of like, okay, cool. I know you're working on Batman and Wonder Woman. How old am I going to be when these films come out? Like, some really exciting news though. Tom Rhys Harries has been cast as Clayface in the Clayface film. I'm excited. This film, we know, is based off the animated series. The story of Clayface is going to be probably quite psychological, quite dark. Going to be definitely more of a horror vibe. They've got a talented actor here who's done a lot of hard work. I am excited. It's always exciting when a character gets cast.
Oh yeah.
Apart from when that character's cast as Henry Cavill, then it's not exciting. It's just sad.
I don't know what you mean.
But yeah, very, very cool.
Yep.
After a negative reaction from shareholders, WBD CEO David Zaslav's pay has been cut. His base pay has been cut from $22 million to $6 million, and his stock bonus option will drop from $23.5 million to $7.5 million. Now, I shouldn't laugh at him too much because he's still earning $13.5 million. However, before this, he was earning $45 million.
Yeah. Like, it's still a ridiculous amount of money for one person to be earning in a year. But
much closer to the realms of like, okay, he's a CEO, fair enough.
Yeah, and he's the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is a huge company. Like, yes, there is, like, a CEO does inherently have a fuck ton of responsibility. Pay matches that. That's fine. But yeah, his pay was ridiculous. Can't wait to see his Facebook Marketplace listings as he has to sell off some of his homes and stuff.
Genuine question. Just put this ridiculous number that he was earning in perspective. Lego.
Yes.
Yeah? Lego. As in Lego.
Yep.
Would you like to guess how much their CEO earned in 2020? So I know that was like 5 years ago now, but it's still like numbers shouldn't change that fast.
It's obviously going to be less than what he's on now. I fear. I'm going to guess like the Lego CEO's on like $2 million a year or something.
He's on £6 million as of 2020.
Okay.
But this is Lego, right?
Yeah.
They on fumbling through. They're not reporting losses.
No.
They're not doing mergers and then undoing mergers and.
Yeah, I do.
You know,
I do think some of this, like his reduction of pay, they've probably 100% been like, well, all of this shit's gone down while you've been in charge. Like, this is kind of, we're not going to fire you, but you're taking a pay cut.
Do you know what I mean? If you were to scale the size of them fuck ups down to you and me, and the equivalent of that size of a mistake at our job, do you get to make them jobs, then make them mistakes, and keep your job? Probably not.
Not as many as he's made.
Let alone be earning $45 million while you do it.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. Always a good day when a CEO has a bad day. Right. First 3 episodes of Ironheart will release on the 24th of June. And the second 3 episodes will release on the 1st of July. This show is already pissing me off. The marketing for it has been abysmal.
Yeah.
They're burying it. And I hate to say it, because even if this show got a 1 episode a week release schedule, and each episode was genuinely a masterpiece, there would be people, because she is black and playing a Iron Man legacy character, who just call it crap anyway. And then they decide to fucking add fuel to the fire by barely marketing it so less people are going to watch it, and then giving it 2-3 week installments just to get it done as quickly as possible.
Do you know what I've noticed, though? Up until, I don't know, say like a month ago, I would agree they hadn't been marketing it all. They weren't really, it was coming and we didn't really know about it. Then it's like, oh, here's a trailer. It's like less than a month away. Suddenly, I feel like I'm seeing lots of like little sit down promo pieces that include Ryan Coogler talking about this. Almost as if they saw the success of him talking about IMAX for his film and how much everyone loved that, and it was just the greatest promo for IMAX has ever had. And suddenly it's almost like Disney's gone, oh shit, we need to. Everyone's loving. Everyone like, let's just throw all up like just every promo piece has got Ryan Coogler in it. Just like that's our promo now for this show. We shouldn't have been burying this. We should have been
an ad for the podcast.
It's almost like they've gone, oh shit, we didn't need to bury this. We have somebody great that could have promoted this. And guys, like, it's like they've suddenly flipped and like they weren't really caring to, oh, everybody cares about this director and we've just had him on. Maybe we should be using this as promo. Yeah. Shit, throw everything at that. And it's like, it is like, they're just, it's been weirdly handled. And I mean, this show has been through.
It's been a long time.
It's been through production hell because at one point it was then going to be with Armor Wars. It was going to be part of that. Then that all got changed between TV show and films and then shelved and apparently isn't cancelled. But let's be honest.
I think the most annoying thing for me is, based on the trailers we've seen, this show looks compelling.
Potentially, yeah. Like there's potentially a good story there, but also it might just be their show goes the best. But like, who knows what we're going to get with this?
The only silver lining to this cloud is the initial rumors where it was going to be a 1 week 6 episode drop, and they were just going to move on from it super quick. At least they've given us a bit of breathing room here. Not that they've given us much. I'm running for Prime Minister on the platform of outlaw binge drops. You must release 1 episode a week for the entirety of your series.
You're like, I don't care about any other policies.
No, I will run on that. And the worst bit is they've got you all so brainwashed you'll think I'm the bad guy.
You're going to be like, I'm scrapping TV license. There is just now a national... Everyone has to pay a subscription to drop out. Legally.
No. We'll just redirect TV license to drop out.
Yeah. And that's all that's played on British TVs.
Yeah.
Speaking
of which, yeah. So, Game Changer episode, Crowd Control, the stand-up comedy episode which me and Horry fawned over. I claimed it might be the best ever Game Changer episode, and I do stand by that.
Mm.
We said, there's definitely potential for them to spin this off.
Like, there's 100% they're spinning this off.
We're like, it's got to be done. It's too good not to.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been spun off, as we both discovered this morning.
Yeah.
Not only has it already been spun off, it was spun off and had begun filming as its own show before Game Changer began filming.
Yeah, which we knew they'd done that as the first one because that's what prompted the bigger stage. So you know that they got to the end of that episode and they like had their sort of debrief on how's this production gone. And obviously, like in the behind the scenes, we saw Sam go, we've got something here that might be its own thing. You know, in that debrief, they've gone, we've capped, like, this is something. This is another make some noise.
No, I think it had been greenlit before they recorded the episode. Based on what was said in that interview clip, I think they'd already recorded the first episode of the spin-off before the Game Changer episode.
Oh, no, I took it as... Because this episode, that was filmed at the beginning before they'd fully started filming Game Changers, I think is what he was saying.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the first one. So it's like they'd filmed that, and before they'd even carried on filming this whole season of Game Changers,
we'd already started.
They've debriefed it and gone, we have something here.
Run it, yeah.
Let's fucking figure this out. And then they've started running on that while they're then... But
so it's not going to be Sam hosting it, we discovered. No. And the format will be slightly different. I assume, as we discussed when it came out, actually, just doing that exact same thing every episode would run a bit thin, but also having that interesting a crowd every episode is practically impossible.
But I think they're going to do sort of what I was suggested would be a good idea. Is like, there is many different areas of comedy that certain comedians are good at, like dealing with hecklers or whatnot, that you can, each episode can be just a slightly different twist.
Mm-hmm. If they use their now blossoming relationship with Alex Horne, they can get into the British comedy scene.
Well,
big time.
In the interview thing that we both saw this morning, he was saying like they saw on Reddit some of the concerns people had of the idea of this bit, and I've been, they're going to struggle to find that many comedians, and he was just like,
the comedy circuit is so big.
Yeah, they were like, it's huge, and also the comedy circuit in LA alone is big enough for us to do a whole season. Like, yeah, they're not going to struggle.
The majority of the world understands how many genuinely hilarious comedians are semi-professional, because everyone loves comedy, everyone loves laughing. Somehow there is not enough money in the comedy scene to allow more professional comedians to exist. The human race is genuinely hilarious. I don't know if maybe we have a better knowledge of this, because I feel like the UK, bearing in mind its size compared to America, has a phenomenal comedy scene. Like, Google comedy shops in your town. Go down there. You go down there once a month for a year. You will not see the same comedian twice, and every time you go, you will see someone you've never heard of that genuinely you convince yourself is your new favourite comedian. It's great. Comedy is the lifeblood of arts, especially at like a grassroots level. But yeah, LA and New York are the two biggest comedy circuits in America. Dropout has their hooks in both of them areas.
Yeah.
They have a relationship with Alex Horn, who we know has his fucking claws deep in the comedy circuit in Britain. Do you know how much I would squeal like a little girl if some of my favourite British comedians end up on Game Changer?
I've just thought of it, like, they need James Acaster.
Oh no, don't even tease me like that. Like, although he might be too big. He might be too big.
Nah, I think it's the sort of show where he'd be like, this sounds hilarious, I'm down. Because he likes to do some of the wacky shows.
I love the idea of James Acaster on an episode of Game Changer. It's like one of like the 5 chili spicy ones with Brennan.
But like, they could do like this comedy show, whatever it's going to be called or whatever. They could do a British episode. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they do pick like 3 British ones and get them out. Like, it's
so exciting.
It has potential.
There's a real chance that this show, whatever the final title of it ends up being my Dropout baby that I rewatch religiously, and I'm like, yes, happy juice.
Something I like after we watched that episode, I said I hope this maybe helps them push more into doing like the comedy specials like Netflix has. I think this show, give it a couple of seasons, we will then start to see comedians that have shown up on that show that were well loved by like online, and people are like, oh my god, they were fucking hilarious. Suddenly it'll be like, oh, they're in the next batch of production live shows produced by Dropout. So
yeah, absolutely. I said it when we were discussing this kind of idea before we knew how like real it already was. I would love nothing more than Dropout to steal the comedy stuff from Netflix, because right now Netflix have got a bit of a monopoly on it with their stand-up shows they offer to everyone. I would love Dropout to gut Netflix.
This is like probably wouldn't happen, but imagine, because there was a period like, I want to say in the last 6 months or something, where everyone thought Bo Burnham was going to release another special out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, imagine
his next special he does, and it's like, it's going to be on Dropout. The fucking internet would go wild, and Dropout stock would just go up.
Well, no, because this is the thing, right? There is a real way for Dropout to make this better for artists as well. They go to someone like Bo Burnham, and they go, you'll get 10% of membership fees of anyone who signs up during
so many months after yours launches or something. Yeah, you do. Yeah, there is the comedy scene has the potential to give Dropout that next bump up in like popularity.
Yeah. Big time. Make it the new generation equivalent of Dave for us UK and them. Because I'll give him my money. I'll do it.
Something you haven't got on the news, which I sent you late this afternoon, which I'd seen a couple of days ago, was the Critical Role / Darrington Press news.
Yes. You talk us through this because you understand it better.
For those that don't know, Critical Role is almost a parent company, and they now have a bunch of spin-offs. Darrington Press is their printing slash games and books, like anything that's like physical printed products. So they've done art books, they've done other like board game sort of things and stuff, anything like that.
And did they not also do a custom book, or was that via Wizards of the Coast? Because they did a game book, didn't they? Like a while back.
They've got their D&D supplement book for like the Critical Role world.
Did they print that themselves, or
I think they printed that themselves, but it was in partnership with like an official licensed supplement. So for context, about a year ago, and it's been known for a while that like people have always asked, would you make your own TTRPG? Because they're so like they've got so big and popular. It's like, would you ever want to delve into that space? And it's always been like,
and there's so much money to be made if they do it right. And, and with the way Wizards of the Coast have, to an extent, been alienating their player base over the last few years, it could be very lucrative for the Critical Role guys.
Matt's always been like, I would love to. It's a lot of work though, but like, we've never like. He's like, obviously they'd floated out and been working. He's like, and then it got to like, oh well, yeah, we're sort of working on ideas in the background, but nothing. Then they announced Daggerheart, which is their TTRPG system. I think it went into like a open beta playtest like a year ago that people could download. Are you assuming
Campaign 4 is going to run on this?
So this is some questions. The community is mixed on it because it's like most of the community does like D&D and is familiar with it and kind of wants the main campaign to stay on classic D&D because it's like it's what it was built on. But then some people are like, are they going to switch to Daggerheart because that's now their system? Then they're not tied to Wizards of the Coast anymore or anything like that. There is a potential there that...
And it's also a great marketing tool, right? Because the only way you're going to see Daggerheart played for a while is via them.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, if you're a viewer and you see these great storytellers using this system that you've never played, in your head, you're going to assume that system is even better than it probably is because you have no other frame of reference.
From what I've looked at about Daggerheart to kind of understand the system, there is... You roll like 2d12s at a time. One is a fear dice, one is a hope dice. There's different mechanics into play of like, if the hope dice is the higher number, that success is like with hope, or if it's like the fear one is higher, there's like a fear element to things. There's also stress mechanics. As you use abilities and stuff, you build up stress, which is something that is in campaign 3, which FCG's character had like this stress meter. So it was clearly them sort of adding it into their D&D campaign, like onto it like as a homebrew thing to kind of play test it a bit. There's different ways they do it. They're kind of simplifying how you take damage and stuff. Like, it seems interesting. Apparently it's definitely more sort of RPG player story leaning focused rather than hardcore combat, lots of numbers, which makes sense from Critical Role.
And that's the kind of people who enjoy Critical Role are probably people who are like, I'd love to do it, but the combat takes 12 hours on D&D. I don't want to do that.
So it sounds interesting because there's things like there isn't an initiative order. It's just once everyone's had a go once, then it's the DM's go. So what order your players choose to do things in is amongst themselves, but they all get one go, and obviously the DM has to keep control of like not letting people go twice. But like if people want to do things in a certain order because of their abilities, like it allows for stuff like that.
It allows you to play like, fight as a team.
There's a bit more creativity to it. So it sounds interesting. Anyway, about a month ago, they launched Daggerheart version 1.0, the book. It officially launched. Lots of people have been having it now for a month and are starting to play with it and whatnot. There's a book, there's PDF versions, like lots of, and they've been putting out videos. Matt's been doing videos on like how to build a character, how to tips for like GMs, tips for play, like different things, informative stuff. Then like this last week, they announced the 2 leading members that people will associate with Wizards of the Coast who helped build 3.5 or 5e, 5.5, have like shipped that and is what is the most popular D&D version. They left Wizards of the Coast a few months back, seemingly for retirement or onto new ventures. Turns out their new venture was over at Critical Role. Reading the interview that sort of Travis did on it, they'd heard that they were going to be leaving.
Oh, so they didn't poach them, he's claiming.
No. So apparently, so the two, I forget their names, it's gone off the top of my head. They'd been pretty public about, let me look up.
Hasbro ruining their ability to do their job well.
No, more that they've been doing it. They were at Wizards of the Coast for like, I want to say 17 years or something. Like they were there for a
long
while.
old time.
Yeah, Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford. That's the duo. They'd been at Wizards of the Coast for. Yeah, Crawford had been there for like 18 years, I think. The other one had been at Perkins had been like 17. They'd basically shipped 5e and 5.5, the newest one, and they'd on the run up to 5.5, this new book, the new rule set book launching, they kind of had already been like between themselves discussing of like, this is we're done with this. We want to go do something different.
This is our last major update to the game. We'll be done here.
Retirement or onto a different project, whatever that is. Obviously, discussed that amongst themselves, and word obviously spread. Critical Role heard about this, just said to them, well, if we're making TTRPG over here.
If you're interested, we'll send you some stuff.
If you ever want to have a discussion, join Critical Role. Like, if our doors were welcome, we would love like to sit down and just chat about. To which apparently the two of them then discussed amongst them between themselves. Like they were friendly with Critical Role, obviously knew them because of how big that show is.
And I imagine, like, as great as Matt is and the guys are, they are actors at the end of the day. There is stuff about this stuff they physically don't know. I imagine they were very respectful when they were like, we're trying our best here. There's stuff we don't fully understand. If you guys want to come be a part of this so that we can make this the best it can be.
Well, yeah, it's like, I imagine there'll be a little bit of a, I'm sure there's some other people that have been with Matt and a couple others I think have been working on Daggerheart. But to have these two like industry heads to then come in and be like, yeah, we've got 18 years of knowledge of how we built D&D.
We know what players are going to absolutely hate and what they're absolutely going to love.
We've got ideas of things that we would have been able to implement into D&D because it was so different. You've got this new system that sounds cool. It would not surprise me if they've said, of course we've already got ideas for Daggerheart, like, but we're not going to share them. Like, they're going to 100% be the driving force behind like Daggerheart 2.e or second edition or whatever. Like, I imagine this is a huge thing, and I don't know if Wizards of the Coast will be.
It gives them a lot more validity, doesn't it?
Well,
very quickly it goes from, them guys who play D&D think they can make their own better version, to them guys who play D&D and want to make their own version have gone and got two industry leaders to help them make it as good as it can be.
Well, yeah, it goes from being like, oh, this is Critical Role's TTRPG to, oh, could this be like the next big TTRPG? Like, I think Wizards of the Coast probably at the moment are like, there's plenty of other competition, like small TTRPGs. I don't think at the moment they're probably like not that fussed. They'll have seen this and be like, oh, so that's where they've gone. Interesting. And then they'll keep an eye on it. And it's like, it'll take till second edition comes out, I think, to really see how this system works. I am intrigued. I'm going to look into it more because the system does sound interesting.
If Campaign 4 is based on the Daggerheart system and is like a really good story,
well,
Daggerheart could find a player base very quickly.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Campaign 4, because from my understanding is the end of Campaign 3 is pretty significant, like in the world of Tal'Dorei and Critical Role. Like, something significant ends and it changes the whole world sort of thing. I don't know what it is, so we're interested to see what happens when we get to it. But
So there's a real chance in 3 weeks' time you come back and you go, the way they ended campaign 3, they're absolutely using Daggerheart for season 4.
it'd be a case of, oh, Matt's 100% either massively time hopping and this is going to be feeling like a very different world, or it's like, oh, Matt's 100% been working on a new world for the next campaign, and there's a chance it could be Daggerheart. Like, I don't know. I think there is going to be, because you've also got to look at them from like a content point of view. You could lose some viewers by switching system.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they've played on D&D for years. Like, yeah, they love playing D&D. They might not necessarily, like, they might still want to be able to do just play D&D. Like,
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. But yeah, very interesting news in the world of TTRPG, and
Absolutely.
I mean, big swings from the Critical Role company.
Mm-hmm. Like I said to you earlier, I expect, as we've seen Brennan do before with stuff like Kids on Bikes, I won't be surprised if one of the shorter Dimension 20 seasons in the next year or so is the Daggerheart system. Hey, maybe they get Matt to come in and DM another mini season for them and they use Daggerheart that way.
Maybe they would. Yeah.
Like that could be quite cool. But yeah, that is it from us this week. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for hanging out. There will not be an episode next week.
Nope.
But we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for a very big boy episode. Thank you as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.